Hello and welcome back to the Purple Sector's F1 podcast with me, Kunal Chete. Joining me on the fan zone today is ace marketer, eternal optimist, and Sergio Perez sympathizer, Ruta
Oh,
Patel.
I'm going to interrupt you right there. There's
Hi
no
Ruta,
sympathy there.
welcome to the show. First, I want to, give my greetings, and already you're saying I have something to say. Yeah, but please go ahead. What did you want to say? You didn't like my intro?
No, not at all. Very bad.
Why? I said such
There
nice
is
things
no,
about you.
there is no sympathy there at all. I mean, come on. Who can stand up against Max Verstappen? That guy's at a different level. You guys can't see it. To be able
No,
to
no.
race in the same team with Max Verstappen for the number of years that he has, I think that in itself, the
No,
man deserves.
he's been average among the average guys. So basically, with Max is
Your
obviously at a
boys
different
have
planet.
your boys till
I think
last
we'll
week,
come to it.
till
Yeah,
the
no one's
last race were not able to touch him. Not just till just
who
because one your boys.
touch who Max or you're saying Sergio?
As far as I remember, Sergio came second in the championship. Not either of your boys.
Oh, that I would have come third in the championship. Yeah, if I was
Yeah, I'm
driving Red
sure.
Bull.
I'm sure. Nonsense.
Okay, cool. I'll give you enough chance to really
Yes,
push your agenda on
of
Sergio
course. Why not?
and cancel out my agenda. So I'm going to be very honest. Obviously, we like certain drivers and we push certain teams and we got that. That's inherently a human this thing. But I'll give you that opportunity to really push your guy forward and talk in
Thank you.
glowing
So
terms.
kind.
Don't worry. So yeah, before we start, so I think we've just touched upon the start of the season. What did you make of the first few races? A, B, also there seems to be a lot of off-track shenanigans happening.
It's
With
just too
drivers,
much.
a certain team principle, I should say, and of course the FIA also causing a lot of havoc. So just quickly, what have you made of the first few races
So
of the season,
what's
and
the
also what's
off
happening off season? Yeah.
Yeah, so the off-track stuff, I think it's just become a tad much. So yeah, of
Hmm.
course you read everything, but there's enough on track right now. I think the last year, I mean, it's been full of excitement, and other than of course the Red Bull, it's continuing. So fingers
Hmm.
crossed there. I think the highlight has of course been Carlos because
Hmm.
it was a very very sad start to the season after what Ferrari did, and I think the I think the response from him is just unbelievable. So I've been enjoying that, barring of course the uh, appendix part of it. I think he's
But
given a phenomenal response, and I really hope he continues that because I think that's been the most exciting part of the season so far for me. So
I
yeah,
would completely agree. I think the most exciting part of the season has been, Carlos, and
yeah,
as much as I'm obviously a Ferrari fan, and I really love Carlos Sainz. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
completely agree with you. The off track shenanigans I think will continue throughout the year. I think there's just too much needle, especially with the FIA.
Yeah,
I think something has to give. I don't know whether it will be that will happen today, it will happen tomorrow, it'll happen at the back end of the season.
I really feel nothing really significant will happen is my feel. I may be completely wrong, but I just feel it's just a lot of excitement to keep the excitement. But I don't. I mean, I don't see. Certainly, I don't see him. Contrary to what one has been reading, I don't think Max is going
Mhm.
anywhere. So
Yeah, which is something I was going to come to you as part of our crystal
yeah,
ball segment, but we will come
yeah,
back to it again. But yeah,
yeah.
let's
So
let's
I
see.
think
I'm just saying from the FIA versus Liberty and F1, that saga which is with the other MBS Mohammed bin
yeah.
Suleiman. I think there's something's going to give in that whole thing, because this is just the tip of the iceberg with Susie going and putting in that official complaint.
Complaining.
Uh, so I feel it's become a dick waving contest, honestly, between the two.
See, also,
Don't know
you know
what's
what?
happening. It is unnecessary for the sport, but I think it's an ego clash, which is that really top the line ego clash where something's gonna go. And I think FIA for them, F1 is their crown jewel. So if there is someone who's going to let up, it has to be the FIA. I think
Yeah, yeah,
they can't afford to lose F1 and F1 saying, we're going to do our own thing.
yeah. See,
So
I think it's also this whole thing of trying to expand the fandom in that sense, because though it's huge numbers, it's still very, very niche compared to a lot of the popular sports. And I think it's
mm,
coming from there that, you know, maybe I do think a lot of people who don't follow the sport think it's too technical. Whereas I think
mm,
it's a very easy sport to follow. I mean, you get as in depth as you want to, and but I think there is a huge mental block towards, oh, I don't understand it, you know. And there's obviously a bunch of terminology thrown around in every race. So I think those blocks is something that the entertainment is used to bring down. So the more fun and entertainment it becomes, the less scary it seems, or the less the barrier to start following the sport really comes in. And I think that's where it's coming from, because obviously it's in everyone's interest if more people are watching the sport. So I think
no, that's
I
a
think
very
that's
interesting point. I think very fair point also in terms of also as a marketer. I think you've put it down very effectively in terms of what's preventing people from getting in.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
that oh, it's so technical. But I think again, a very important point and a very great point that you made was you can get into it as much as you want to
yeah,
what depths. You can look at it as pure entertainment. You can go into the technical side of things. You can really go into like deep technical analysis where you can really take up a subscription and look
yeah.
at lap
But now
times, look at
I mean,
decks,
at
look
least
at these.
here we have to take the subscription, and now with the subscription, the amount of data that's there, it's
Yeah,
insane. So I
it's
mean,
insane. It's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
It
yeah,
is inherently there is a balance between it being a technical sport and entertainment. But that
yeah,
was the uniqueness about it. So, people like me who've been around, following the sport for 20 plus years, the purists, if you might, I don't consider myself a purist, but still, I'm
let
just
me
saying,
know.
there is a certain level of so again we are averse to change at the end of that's also human nature that change is not accepted or appreciated quickly. So for us, there's that complete shift. So be okay with the entertainment, but when it shifts so far to that
No,
side,
absolutely,
the
I
technical
agree.
nuances which attracted us to the sport in in the first place, when they get
Yeah,
lost
like
or they are
Vegas to me
threatened
was
to get
also
lost. Yeah.
like I won't be anywhere at the level that you are when it comes to following the sport, but uh, okay, this was an absolute joke. I mean, I mean, there was so I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, it has to the balance is critical, which I think
Yeah.
it's kind of going a little uh, wonky in some circuits for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Glad we agree on Vegas. I think that's one of the many things we'll agree on, Ruta, on this
yeah, yeah.
podcast. But
There are plenty we
let's
won't.
it's so this is a good segue to get into how you got into the sport. Any recollections as to what
Oh, of
made you
course.
switch to this sport? What did you see? What attracted you to
So
the
it's
sport?
probably too long ago that I actually got in.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband's been following it long before we were married, and I guess
Mm-hmm.
that's must be in the early 2000s. Yeah, yeah, I would say early
So early
2000s. Yeah.
2000s also you're quite a
Please do not
purist
say.
fan. Yeah, early 2000s
So
is
what's
not
a
like
purist fan? I'm very curious to know what's a purist fan.
no, a
Okay,
purist
so
fan
I
is
go when I go for a race, I go roam around in the F1 village. Now I don't know if that is
no, that's great.
non.
That's
No,
no
I'm sure that's non-purist for you.
no.
You're taking
Arey,
pictures
see,
with the F1.
no. In my at least in my mind, Ruta, anyone who's not come into the sport through Drive to Survive, in my opinion,
Hey,
is
that's
kind of a
really
purist.
mean, yeah. That's just mean.
That's not
Because
mean. That is, I'm not saying that again. I've always said this. It's not good or bad, but I'm saying people who come purely from that avenue need to brush up on their knowledge. Just don't come and yap something just for the sake of it, and you know.
okay, so I have not managed to find time to see the latest season of TPS, but
Arey, congratulations, Ruta. Very happy. No, no,
but
please
but
continue. Yeah.
but it's on the cards. It's certainly one of the shows that I want to see.
Hmm.
But I've not gotten down to it. I
Hmm.
don't think it's so bad. Yeah, you're getting a.
No, no,
I
it's not that bad. Again, I think it's not about it being good or bad. I'm just saying the kind of audience largely it has brought into the sport has been a very is an audience which feels it knows everything while it knows a very little part of the sport. So that's my only thing, and then they keep giving their gyanbazi is what
who's giving? Yeah,
irritates me.
I
That's
don't think. Are they really giving Jan Bazi? I don't think
Arey,
anyone is.
you should meet these guys. Yeah, Ruta, you've not met out any of the races. Someone giving you their opinion of how Max is how is he working his not tires. He just says very fast because of this. All reasons will be incorrect. So I'm looking at it
No,
purely
I think
from
no. So okay,
yeah.
certainly there are people who've come in because of the. I don't think it's necessarily bad. Yeah. I think it just uh, gives the sport more of, especially in a country like India, where the followership was much lower in that sense. I think that was my connection.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's just about the drive to survive fan. What I
Yeah.
was saying is
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was saying it's. I think it's good for the sport, especially in a country like ours.
Hmm.
Well, most people, when I mention I'm, off to see a race,
Hmm.
it's quite a shocker for most people. And it's like, how did that happen? Why did that happen? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't think I've paid more for cricket tickets in Bombay than I have paid for a race ticket. So the
What are
only
you
thing is, okay,
saying? Wow.
uh,
Okay. I was just
so
coming to the monies behind getting a Formula One ticket, and the fact that you're already saying that you've paid more for a cricket ticket is crazy because Formula is
so
one. It's not cheap to go to a
it's
Grand
not
Prix.
cheap, but you
Yeah,
can
but it's
plan it in advance.
yeah.
I think that works for me because I mean most of the times I would do a fair share of pre-planning, and I think most people who go to see a race would do that pre-planning.
Hmm.
That aside, I mean, how many sports do you end up watching live, except for cricket, probably in India?
Hmm.
You're not getting to see a lot of sports live, so watching it,
Hmm.
yeah. Today the subscription has come in, but I think
Hmm.
that's again a good way because if you're interested, there's no way you're not taking the subscription. If
Correct.
it's if it's DPS love, there's no way you're paying that kind of money for the subscription.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I think I'm quite happy with the balance that both the things have brought. I was very upset with the subscription when it started. I'm now I think it's so much better because whether it's the practice, whether it's qualifying, wherever you are, it's so much more accessible. I find it so much more accessible because, and especially with the Saturday races and Friday qualifying, so
Yeah.
I'm not. I may not be at home, and I just find the
Correct.
subscription far easier in that sense to be able to follow the script. So I'm quite happy right now the way and the level to which it is. I think we get access to good amount of content,
Yeah.
on social, which is very interesting. Again, the F1 app, given the amount of nonsense that's going on off track right now,
Hmm.
I'm very happy with what I'm getting on the F1 app in terms of content to consume.
Yeah,
So
they're controlling that narrative as
yeah, yeah,
they've
yeah,
been smart enough to give us the right information and
yeah,
keep that narrative in their control.
correct.
But yeah, I think the F1 TV app also, like you said, I think it's still, I think we get it at a subsidized rate. I don't think it's that cheap abroad.
Yeah, yeah,
But like, I completely agree. I think that app has completely changed the way we
correct.
consume Formula One. I think it gives you all that other stuff around it, which is also very
Absolutely.
important. You just don't
Yeah,
want, like, for example, Hotstar used to just start off the race immediately, and
correct,
used to be no
correct.
energy. You need that little bit of build up. You need that content around it to make it a full package. Otherwise, it
Absolutely.
cannot be literally you just go see the race and that's done. So I
Correct,
think
correct.
that's a
Yeah,
move. I think F1 TV did. I mean F1 in general did made that move because they saw potential in the Indian market.
correct,
That's why
correct.
they took away the rights from
Yeah,
Hotstar and this
yeah.
it's time to get them into that subscription model. Uh, but yeah, I think F1 TV is great fun and this was I don't know 2000s you remember when we started watching the sport, there was actually a pre race. It was called Race Day with Paula Mola Ali. I
No,
think
I
she
don't
was
remember that.
Korean. Yeah, there was Race Day. There was Steve Slater, Chris Goodwin. So there was that pre, post, all of that,
So
and
I
then
think
it kind
those
of
days it was I used to end up watching just the race. Now of course it's
hmm,
a nice 3 day. Uh, yeah,
yeah, you look forward
it's
to it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
look forward to it exactly. Uh, but yeah, I think those days it was more the race. Sunday, and it was just that I would look forward to, and
yeah.
strangely, being a Schumacher fan, it was Ferrari that I was supporting back then.
See, Ruta,
So
now the fact that you said that you're a Schumacher fan also
yeah,
is very heartening for me. So I'm
you don't want to smash my face for liking Checo.
no, no, no. That's the idea was to get to know your story as a fan, because while you might be a Checo fan now, I just wanted to understand through the years,
So
who
I
was the
completely
first,
stopped watching after Schumacher, and
you did, yeah.
yes, entirely 100%. Australia's here and there, but definitely not
Hmm.
following regularly. And yeah,
What
then
got you back? What got you back from your sabbatical of following the sport?
shall I say it? Or is it
Yeah,
a
yeah.
bad word on the podcast?
There are no bad words on the podcast. Or there are only
No,
bad words on the podcast. You could go either
it
way.
was definitely Drive to Survive that got me back. So you might want to murder me for that, but yeah, I mean, after seeing the first season, I mean, you realize that it's a love
No,
never
I think
dies.
that was
So
again. I think where I'm coming from is not Drive to Survive as a product. I think it's a damn good product, and honestly, it was the need of the hour to get back fans like yourself, not just new fans, but fans who had completely, they moved on from the sport because
yeah,
for the time Bernie Ecclestone was in charge, there was a point where it had just become redundant. It was just so snobbish, so out there that it had lost all of it. It was a
yeah,
It was a sport that was constantly reducing its fan base. Its fan base was reducing. So I
absolutely,
think when Liberty took over and they decided to do something like this, they got it absolutely right. It's
yeah,
not to say about the product; it's just about in
yeah,
the recent past, the obviously there's been a huge influx of new fans and fans
correct,
like yourself who've come back to the sport. Fans
correct,
like yourself obviously, were for some reason or the other had gotten, were no longer attached to the sport. They got them
correct,
back,
yeah,
which was one segment. And I think it'll be fair to say a larger segment of the fans that have come in from the sport are completely new fans,
correct.
which was also the need of the hour because it was becoming a sport which is followed by really old people, or I should say middle-aged people. Uh, so I think
Really,
it
I don't think. Yeah, it has to be middle aged. I don't think.
yeah,
My
not
generation
70s.
before.
I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
middle age.
yeah,
It's 40s
yeah,
to
yeah,
50s.
yeah.
Who've seen the Schumacher era,
Correct,
who had the
correct.
opportunity to go in the 90s and watch a race.
Yeah,
That kind of audience, because Bernie himself was hadn't made any change to the format, hadn't made any
correct.
kind of change to the way the sport was, and what you see with the FI and just generally the way Formula One is still trying to get out of those shadows of being
Yeah,
run by a set of old people, old men who are really calling the shots with everything. To move on from
yeah.
that shadow is going to take some time. It's not going to be an overnight thing, although I think it's moved on so fast in the last 5 6 years. So
And the
it's
cars, my
great to see.
God, the way what the cars are doing today is it's quite
Technologically though,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
a different ball game. That's what I think. Again, something that you mentioned is when you say you're going to watch the race, especially in the Indian context, in the office, they'll be like, what are you doing? What does that even mean? And I'm sure you'll come across someone who will say, "Arey, those cars go around in circles." So for someone to understand this sport, I just say that you just go, even if you're a fan of, if you're fan, not a fan, you just have some level of interest in sport per se, just go to the racetrack. You will change your mind because the
No,
energy, the
I mean,
atmosphere,
so
and the sheer
I'll
ferocity of,
agree with. I think
yeah.
my involvement in the sport has increased significantly since I first saw the first. the
Yeah.
first race I saw live. And I used to obviously watch the qualifying and I would watch the race on a regular basis.
Mm.
I think since I've gone, it's that whole build up to race week has the waiting for race week and the content around race week. I
Yeah.
think that's certainly been impacted by, post actually going and seeing a race live. And
What
my
was the
God,
first race you went to? Which was the race that you first?
the one that I met you, the Singapore one.
Oh, the Singapore one's the first
Yeah,
one. Oh, and you've done
yeah,
Singapore again then. You
yeah. And I
did a
did
back to
Singapore
back of
again.
Singapore. Oh yeah, so now I mean it's a different experience, and that's when you can truly comprehend and appreciate the sheer ferocity of those cars,
Absolutely.
and the fact that these guys who are in those cockpits are,
Yeah,
putting
it
their
was.
lives on the line.
Yeah,
There is no
yeah.
other way. Is so that is the beauty and the draw of the sport. Once you actually see it, the smell of burning rubber, the smell, the
Absolutely. The
sights, the
sounds.
sound,
Oh my God.
and then you see then you see that there are 150,000 people there
Yeah,
who
yeah.
are passionate fans, and that atmosphere is something you can't really
Absolutely.
comprehend and you can't see
Yeah,
on screen. So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's in essence, I think something that people don't understand, don't appreciate again about the sport is it finishes in 90 minutes.
Yeah,
There is no, it doesn't take hours and hours and things. You're just waiting.
absolutely.
You before you know it, you're like on the last lap,
Oh
and you're
God,
like,
it's
how
over.
did this,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
did this
yeah.
fly through? Oh, insane! So I didn't know the Singapore race that we went to was the first, was
Yeah,
your first race. Oh, that's
yeah, it
incredible!
was.
And I think it was your friend's first race also, and she
Yes,
was
it
in
was.
Singapore and she hadn't
Yes,
seen it, and that was her face,
that's right.
first race as well. Awesome.
Right.
So then let's so you start off with Schumacher, then you completely stopped. You got back into the sport when Drive to Survive came. So let's go to the story about from Drive to Survive. How did you start following Checo? What was your pull towards Checo? What is it that you like about Checo? And I'm assuming you're also a large Red Bull fan, or you're more of
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Checo fan, or more of a Red Bull fan. That's probably one of the questions I wanted to ask you.
So both, both. I don't think I'm a Checo fan because he's with Red Bull. If he does race with anybody, I will next year. I will be supporting him. So it's
Okay.
not a Red Bull thing, but yeah, Red Bull is definitely my favorite team, uh, and Honor is definitely my favorite.
This is even after the messages.
Yeah.
No, honestly, like for me, it's obviously innocent until proven guilty.
I'm
But
just going to go
whatever,
with that. We'll
yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
also going to go with that. I think we
yeah,
cannot be the judge and we cannot be the jury.
yeah.
You can say, oh, this, that,
I
and all,
think
but
he's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I can't. I mean, you can't take that away from the man. So I mean, that's what I'm.
no,
That's what I'm a
absolutely, no,
fan
no,
of.
he's
So
he's incredible. Christian Horner to
yeah,
start off that team
yeah,
from where it was
yeah,
to pull it
absolutely.
up and get it to this level requires someone of that, of
Yeah,
yeah, some charisma, some personality, and some
absolutely.
balls.
And again,
Get shit done, make sure
I mean,
that they're moving forward.
if you're handling, I mean, today, I'm just talking about today, you're handling someone like Max. I mean,
Hmm.
I can't imagine how difficult that must be given how Max is. And, I mean, his sheer dominance on the track
Yeah.
is at a
Hmm.
different level. And I'm sure it must not be easy to handle somebody like that. And
No.
honestly, with Checo, that's what happened, to see him uh, uh, take on that kind of pressure. Of course, there was, of course, the fact that he drove for Force India, but that was still at the Bibles.
Force
Ocon
India,
was,
and before that, Ruta, he's driven for McLaren, right? It's not like, oh,
yeah,
he
yeah,
never got a drive in a big team. He has got
yeah,
that
yeah. Of
drive
course.
in a
So
big
I
team.
think he is a good driver. I don't think there is anything you cannot take that away from him. The point is, Max is. I don't think anyone's close to Max on the track.
Max is insane. Yeah, Max is
Yeah,
insane. It's a
and
perfect combination of man and machine,
and
like how it was with
yeah,
Schumacher,
yeah,
and with,
yeah,
but that's the thing. What people, again, the Max, people who are besotted by Max, while he's a generational talent. The fact of the matter is, in Formula One, from even the 1950s, there's always been a car plus driver dominance. It's
Absolutely.
never been the, because that's when the two come
Come
together,
together.
whether it's
Absolutely.
Schumacher, whether it's Hamilton, whether it's with Vettel. Now I think
Correct.
Vettel, even in his dominant years, he was probably the least dominant of these three eras,
Correct.
with
Correct.
Schumacher, Hamilton. But Hamilton will say that 2020 car plus him
Yeah.
was untouchable. They were just
Yeah.
untouchable. The thing is, there were fewer races then, and the odd time now where I think the Red Bull has got a huge upper hand on that Mercedes is that the Merc was really quick in qualifying, but as soon as it found itself behind someone in
Yeah.
that dirty air, their aerodynamics used to go for a complete toss. With Max and with Red Bull, their package is obviously brilliant in qualifying and
Yeah.
it's equally brilliant in race. So if they take a penalty, something happens, they fly through. And in
Yeah.
fact, that
Absolutely.
last year's DRS system, I don't know what wizardry was that. They used to just, you had the odd time, Arey, he's behind me. Oh, he's ahead of me. When did that happen?
Yeah.
He's
But
literally that.
actually, that happened a lot with Max and Charles before he went suddenly decided. I don't know. He just lost the battle with Max, but there was
That
this
gives
time.
me PTSD, Ruta. That is the Max versus Charles from 2022 is full PTSD zone.
Yeah, but if you remember the whole DRS thing between the two of them, there was a lot of
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
where they just keep going. That was
yeah,
fun too, which is why, I told you at the beginning of the season, I think it's going to be more fun because what was last season? Yeah, it was.
yeah. It was, it
The fun was
was,
two plus. There was
yeah,
certainly no
yeah.
question at the top.
No,
So
I think even the optimistic Tifosi speaking in me, I feel Ferrari are way closer. There'll
yeah,
be tracks like Australia, possibly. So I think Japan, I think Red Bull's going to be
no,
really quick.
it wasn't the
Uh,
Australian track. It was the Red Bull wasn't in the
no,
mix.
these, see that. Array, no. This I've done analysis, huh, Ruta? Wait. I agree. It would have been a straight fight between Max and the two Ferraris. Max would maybe have
Listen,
beaten them by 4 to 5
I like
seconds.
Carlos
We
more than
don't
I
know.
like Max, but if
No,
Max was
I'm
in the
saying
race, we would have had a different result.
no, no,
So
no, no. I think it would have been really close because if you look at
yeah,
their
I'm sure it would
FP2
have been very
times
close,
in terms of
but we would
race
have had a
pace, from
different
where
result.
Ferrari had got that race pace where they were constantly knocking 122 ones, twos, 122 1,
I mean,
2
I
again.
don't want to poke any holes in that because I was quite happy
Yeah.
with
World was
Carlos
happy.
winning.
World
So
was happy. Only thing,
yeah,
Max got so pissed now. I don't know. And the guy's got no personality. As much as he's
I
a
agree. I agree.
fantastic
I
driver,
agree.
he just come stone faced.
So which is the whole thing, I mean, uh, which everything that happened between Max and Checo as well. I think from uh,
Yeah, there
I
is
don't
some
know. I
bad
mean,
blood there. I think is
yeah,
literally Max was like, "Who's this guy to beat me in one race?"
yeah. But
This guy
like
needs to
Honor
be.
also went on record to say, I mean, I think the sheer for Checo to see what Max could do in the same car, I think uh, was just too overwhelming, right? So that
Yeah,
entire middle of
it's
last
been the
season
case
was
with all. Yeah, I think it's been the
yeah,
case with all the teammates. Now
yeah,
Checo, honestly, for me, Checo is not an A plus driver, but he's an A grade driver. So I'm
yeah,
not saying he's a bad
yeah,
driver. I've
yeah.
never said he's a bad driver.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just
I
saying
do
that
see
he's a
your
fun
pros
guy
and
to make. He's
stories.
a fun guy to make fun of
I
because
understand that you need him to not do so well for your team to do well, but
no, that he's an A driver, but he's not an A plus driver. A
no,
plus
fair
driver
enough.
is a different category altogether.
Yeah, but now see, A
Yeah,
driver with an A plus car, and then you have A plus drivers with, I don't know, not so A car. So
yeah. Arey, that though is there now. That car and machine, I mean, car and driver ka to that combination is obviously important. Now, I think Lewis Hamilton was checked out already from this season. He's just seeing he's seeing red now. I think he
so
should wear red tinted
I'm going to
glasses.
ask you a question. How is it going
Yeah,
to be supporting Hamilton?
torturous. But so I've basically made my peace with the fact that
Are you seriously going to support
if
Hamilton?
no, I'm going to support Ferrari. And if I look at Ferrari in general, a 7-time world champion, if we can get that additional 1% to the team and my team wins, I'll still accept it. I want Charles to beat Hamilton and we win the championship. So this is
But
part of
Ferrari is
my,
known to play games
this is
between
part
their
of my
drivers.
diary.
Who do you
This
think
is
they'll
part of my,
support?
huh? I'm going to support Charles
Not
only. But
you, not
who?
you. Your team.
Ferrari.
Yes.
I
Considering you know
Ferrari
the games they play, yeah. So with their drivers,
games
so
now are the games Ferrari used to play. They made a big change with getting Fred Visser, because the games Ferrari used to play were purely from the perspective that it was such an Italian focused team that
you don't
the
think they played any games
everyone
at the
had to
start
be
of this season on
what
the track?
game
On the
what
track
games did they play with whom?
with poor Carlos till they realized
Poor
that they couldn't
Carlos,
do much.
what did they do to Carlos that was poor in the season? Please elaborate.
Oh come on!
Where? Tell
Till
no.
they
Where? One race too he couldn't race because
obviously
of
they
his
missed his pit stop. Yeah, come on.
which first
Yes,
race.
first. Second he wasn't there. Third they realized they couldn't do anything to hold him back. So obviously first.
The guy had so much more pace over Charles. He had a bad brake issue. What difference was it going to
Listen,
make?
we shall see how the season progresses, and they are
I think we'll
definitely
see
now.
now.
They too now see now they can't be so open about their favoritism to the driver they decided to keep against the driver they decided to reject. I mean, I
No,
don't think
Charles
they.
is their golden boy. I'm not even denying the fact
I
that
think
Charles is
Charles
their
is a
golden
golden
boy.
boy. I forget their golden boy. Charles is a golden boy, but you can't put Carlos through trouble because Charles is a golden boy. That's not fair.
He's not. They have not put Carlos through some trouble where you have to feel so much pity for him. This is not
No,
at
no, it's
all.
not
I mean,
pity for
all
Carlos.
teams work in a certain way.
Carlos doesn't need pity. I think he's a
Carlos
great
doesn't
driver.
need pity. He's,
Yeah,
of course,
exactly.
I'm saying
But I think I'm saying my irritation and angst is with Ferrari for
what
team
you are irritation and angst with Ferrari. Like all these other teams are like, oh, they are so transparent with everything that they
I'm
do,
not
and
talking
everyone gets
about the other
equal this
team.
thing.
Yeah, the leaders have to
No,
behave like leaders.
that's the unfortunately the game. But I don't feel that it's the right way to do it, but that's unfortunately the way this plays out in across all teams,
I think
not
Honor
just
does a
Ferraris.
damn good job about with
What honor?
despite
What
having yes,
rubbish!
despite having Max, who's obviously the better driver. I think he handles his drivers so much better than Ferrari
Please
ever
check the
did.
tapes, Ruta. I will send you some tapes, some
You
clips,
please do.
right
And
from
as a
your favorite Checo, what all he's done to Checo. Plus, before that, if there's any team which is ruthless and is a one man show, it's Red
one
Bull.
minute, Ruthless is on the
And the way
performance of the
Cristiano
driver.
operates,
Ruthless is on the performance of the driver. Being unfair because you want one driver to do better than the other is a very different perspective and aspect.
that hasn't been a problem for Cristiano, because he never had two drivers which are even close together.
But which is a good thing. I think it needs to be like that, and which is why
So
I'm really
you can look at it two
wondering
ways.
where Carlos is
You,
going to go next year because I really think it
Carlos is
should.
going to take your boy's seat only. I'm telling you, he's going to take your
I
boy's seat.
quite
Then too,
expect
you'll
him
be
to.
celebrating more as long as Checo gets a drive. I think Carlos in a Red Bull will be very happy.
I will.
Correct?
Yes,
And then you will want signs to show it to Ferrari. You know that is your
100%,
2025.
100%. Not 20. Yeah,
What's
2025
going to make you
and
happy. Yeah,
100%,
I got
100%.
that. I wrote
Yeah,
that in my notes. What will make
yeah.
Ruta happy?
No question about it. No question. He's already on his way to do that. So
No, no, I'm very happy for Carlos. I sincerely hope that he either gets a Red Bull or a Merc seat. He doesn't go down to any of those other stupid teams. It's just
absolutely,
he'll be an
he's
absolute
too good
waste
to
for
go
a
anywhere
driver
else.
of
I
his
agree.
talent and in his current form. I think
Absolutely.
he's reaching his peak now. So I think at this point, he should get a good one of the top seats. Now, whether that's at Red Bull or Merc, I don't know. I don't know. I feel there's no smoke without fire in F1. So even the whole Ferrari to
Yeah, even the
the
Hamilton
Lewis
thing
to
came out. Yeah, exactly.
the Lewis to Ferrari thing. Once it happens, I said, all bets are off. Anything can happen in this
Yeah, and
sport.
the smoke about Hamilton was there ages ago, right? I mean, nobody wanted to believe it, but
Yeah, I
it
also didn't want to
obviously,
believe it,
yeah,
Ruta.
yeah,
No, but again, just to answer your question in one final, line of, are you going to support Hamilton or what do you think of Hamilton and Ferrari? I don't like it. But the fact of the matter is, if I look at it objectively from Ferrari's perspective, they're getting a world champion, seven-time world champion. Even if he brings in that additional 1%, which has obviously been lacking in the team for so long, we've come close a few times. We've not closed out a championship. if we win the championship again with him, that's not my ideal scenario. But it's if I look at it that way, it means Ferrari are back officially. B Hamilton, he gets his eighth, he just bounces. Yeah, enough. Khatam ho gaya.
Yeah,
Please go
yeah.
now. So from that aspect, it's
I
a
also
win-win.
think it's not. I don't think it's so much of a win-win for Leclerc. So because it's very difficult to be the number one driver with Lewis Hamilton as your teammate, right? So
Everyone
and
seems to underestimate Leclerc, and they
no,
go,
no,
oh,
no, no,
he
no. That's not
crashed.
what I'm saying. No, that's not what I'm saying. I think he's definitely the second best driver on the track today. But Lewis Hamilton has his achievements. Yeah, those can't be taken
Yeah,
away.
yeah, no,
So
no, no,
so
no, absolutely. It's going to be a
yeah,
tricky. It's going to be tricky for Leclerc. I can't deny that, and I can't say
yeah,
that no, that's not
yeah.
going to be the case. It's going to be a tricky year for Leclerc, more so than
I think
Hamilton,
yeah,
Ferrari
yeah.
25.
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think science is I think the form that he's been showing has just been beautiful to watch. It's just see when he's in form, I think there's very few. I mean, I do think Max is really nice to watch in the car, but the way when Science is in form in a race, I think he's just brilliant. Even the Singapore last year's Singapore race, oh my
Yeah.
god, it was
Yeah, yeah,
a
you saw
joy
that race.
to
That was fun.
yes,
That
I
would have
did.
been
It
a
was
fun race
yeah.
to watch. Nerve wracking.
And
It would have been on the edge.
you, I don't think as many drivers strategize so much while driving, and that's so much fun to watch them.
I think Carlos, Fernando, I think these guys
Yeah,
are thinking drivers and they are very good
yeah,
in managing races. I'm
yeah,
saying sheer raw speed. Uh, I think I think Leclerc's got a tenth even on Max in terms of sheer qualifying speed in equal cars.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
he's got
yeah.
that little bit of extra, that 110. That's why you see
Yeah, but he
his
doesn't have
qualifying
the
results,
drive.
and
He doesn't have the
his
drive that
his
Max
race. I
has.
think he's not able to put it all together yet.
He doesn't
Again,
have that drive. I don't think Max can tolerate being second, which I don't think is that
but they are
strong in
all
Charles.
Ruta, all of them in Formula One. No one wants to be second except for
Yeah,
maybe
but
Logan
Max is
Sargent.
crazy. Hey, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
Max is crazy, but I think the feeling that oh, Max is so single handedly
Or
and
even Max or
he's
even Hamilton, I would say, is a level above Leclerc when it comes to the competitiveness. I think
competitors.
Leclerc.
Yeah, they're less nice than this guy, so he has to get that
Yeah,
side going
yeah,
and be
correct,
that ruthless, which he isn't.
correct.
But that comes, I think, the thing is, Max when he started at 17, there were a few years he was able to, whatever issues or mistakes he wanted to get out of his system, he got out of his system at the point where he was not, in the best car and in the limelight. He got that out of his system, and once he became a finished product
Yeah,
quicker because he
yeah.
started quicker, and he also got,
Sure.
obviously it comes with talent. There's nothing denying that. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
no,
he
no
got his
question about it.
mistakes out outside, at a point where he was not in the limelight, so the media couldn't really destroy him
And the
then.
car he got last year was,
That
I
is
mean,
a once in
yeah,
a,
yeah, yeah,
once in a not in a once in 20
yeah.
years you probably get a car like that
Absolutely,
now.
absolutely.
I mean, he's still, obviously this year also they got a fantastic car, but
Yeah,
I'm very
but
sure
Ferrari has
Ferrari
gotten
are
better. Yeah,
have gotten a lot better.
yeah,
The elephant in that room, I should say, where all of these guys are. And I'm not saying Alpine because yeah, that slow is Merc. Because I think Toto's never been in the situation where he's so confused. He's lost his number one driver. I don't rate George as highly as most people do. He is very
that's
error
true.
prone, and he I mean, he's so irritating in the press conference. He'll come, hazard things he'll say.
Oh, wow, one more thing we can agree on.
I mean, he's like, he's come with on full script. He's just like
Yeah,
he's talking in some third person, this, that, some nonsense he talks.
I have, in addition to Carlos doing better than Leclerc this year, I have one more very definite thing that I want. Is Lando to get one win somewhere in the course of the year, which I thought last time was
He had a
I
couple of
mean
shots. Yeah, he had a couple of shots. They
no,
weren't
for me
able
the
to
only thing was
capitalize.
when Max wasn't there. I don't think he can take Max on, but Carlos still might be able to. I don't think Lando can take Max on, because he's accepted it, I think, somewhere that he cannot take Max on. But I really hope and pray he gets one win somewhere.
Again, let's just see how it plays out. Yeah, I think current
Because the car's
it's
good
just
too.
hard to
So,
do anything about a Max plus Red Bull
absolutely.
juggernaut and that combination at this point, because it's also a lot of this is confidence. With all sport, it's a
But
lot to do
that's what
with
I'm saying.
confidence
No,
and
it's got to
momentum.
build up now for that poor guy. That he's not one, not one, not one. But
Lando, yeah, it's going to
yeah,
be a little bit of pressure. Yeah, so
yeah, yeah.
maybe I don't know which track they can possibly get a win.
Only if
Uh,
Max is in there. I don't think he can win again. I'd be pleasantly shocked if he wins when
you
Max is
think
actually
Checo will
racing.
win a race this season? Ruta,
Why not?
how he'll
He's
beat Max in the same car?
just an off day for Max, maybe. He's beaten Max in last year's car twice. So, come on. No,
No,
he
no, I
can. He can. I don't think he can't. I think the only
he
person who
can, but
can
his
really, if you
problem is
ask me,
he's
is
just.
Checo.
I think he always
Maybe
starts a bit
Singapore.
too far back. I think he
Maybe
starts a bit
Singapore.
too far.
Max doesn't have a good history
Singapore,
with Singapore, so
I have a feeling Monaco is where it's going to open up for
yeah,
other
it's.
teams.
No, I'm
So
talking about Checo. So even for Checo, I think it's Monaco, or Singapore. So, but I would say more Singapore because I don't think Max has a very good history with Singapore. So hopefully Checo will be in Singapore.
I feel Lando's got a better shot, yeah, Ruta at winning a race than Checo.
Not in the cars that they're currently driving.
No, no, no.
I think
Checo has a
Lando is
good
great.
shot.
I think
Checo has
Lando is
a
great too.
Checo has a good shot at winning a race. Which race that might be, we don't know.
I'm saying it is my bet if he wins this season
Singapore.
will be Singapore. Yeah.
Singapore, I think Ferrari are again going to be very strong in Singapore. I think they've nailed down that track now. What's to be
I
done?
saw Checo's good on that track. I know last year wasn't great, but he's good on that track.
Yeah, where was Checo? Can we quickly recap last season's Singapore
No,
Grand Prix? What all shenanigans Checo did?
he did not do anything. Please don't
What
actually
he went and
badmouth
hit
him.
Yuki also. Poor Yuki was almost going to lose his drive because Yuki's like this guy coming hitting everyone. Then he also hit Albon. Ruta,
Rubbish. Yeah,
I
rubbish.
don't forget what Checo has done. Huh? That I
Yes,
might
I can
forget
see you
everything
writing all
else, but
about it.
what Checo has done last at the back end of the season, I'll never forget. It was
Why this
because
anger
that
against
bad to
Checo?
be in a car like that
Rubbish.
and drive that badly was something which you
Yeah,
can't forget.
it was poor fellow was going through a psychological turmoil.
Perhaps, I mean, I don't know what he was going through, but his performances were really bad
Yeah,
in the
he
second.
came back. Yeah, he came back so
And
strong.
he was not performing well. He was just hitting people. He was doing bumper cars on the road. Yeah, it was.
Now listen, okay. So there was a phase in between where things weren't great, but he came back. Oh God,
No,
it was
fair. Let's
agonizing to
let's
watch him at that
let's
time.
just
But
see. But your if your something I wanted to just maybe I'll do this segment with you on a couple of teams. It's called how it started and how it's gonna end.
hmm,
Uh, Correct. So from the start of the season, let's look at Red Bull first, how it started and how it's going to end. So from a team perspective, I- how's it going to end in terms of all the turmoil around that team? What do you think is going to
I
happen at the end?
no, so that's what I think. It's a lot of just media hype. I don't think anything significant is going to happen. I think the only significant. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, okay. I think they will get Checo out. So from that perspective, I think that's the only
Oh,
big
you think
significant.
that's going to definitely happen? They're looking at
Yeah,
a
I
Checo replacement for sure.
I would I would think so. Or maybe it's just me trying to prepare for what.
Prepare for the worst. Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah,
No, I think
but
there are problems there purely because there are too many people who are trying to. There's a kind
no,
of
no.
a
I'm
power
not saying
struggle
there
there with
aren't.
helmet.
I'm not saying there is no
That helmet
problem. But
mark was a crazy guy. Yeah? He's a mad fellow.
yeah, we've seen him in action. But that's I don't know. Yeah, to be as dominating as Red Bull is, maybe you also need that kind of madness. I don't
Hmm.
I don't subscribe to it, but I think that might be what is. I think Toto's also got shades of that, and I think that's what
Hmm.
makes it. That if you are going to lead the championship the way as in that dominating manner, I
Yeah.
think you need those crazy guys there. So
No,
I don't know.
what specifically my question, if I want to change this on Red Bull, is now not how they're going to do in the championship. It's about whether it's
No,
going
no, I
to
know that.
all break apart at the end of the season.
I don't
That's
think
my
so. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Cool.
I just think they might change the second driver, but I don't think all of the other thing. I think is just speculation
Hmm.
and hype and clickbait.
Cool. I'll throw you a curveball on another team. What do
Yeah.
you how it started with Alpine and what's going to happen at the end?
Oh
What do
my
you
god,
think is
that's so
going to
depressing.
what's going to happen there? Because it's embarrassing and they're two good drivers. Huh?
I just hope Gasly gets something. That's my
I
only
think
hope.
Gasly needs to get out. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Gasly
exactly.
needs to
That's
get out.
I have no
100%.
opinion on, or rather, no. I don't really care what happens to Alpine, but I really hope Gasly gets somewhere.
Yeah,
So
that's why I asked you that question where there's no emotional attachment to the team, but just from a holistic,
I
I'm
don't think they're
looking at the
getting out of
sport.
the hole they've dug themselves in.
Even I don't think they're going to get out of that hole. In fact,
Yeah.
the thing is, at least okay, it's slow, it should look good. It looks ugly as hell. Like it's so bad. At least भाई थोड़ा paint थोड़ा अच्छा करके थोड़ा अच्छा दिखाओ. That also they haven't done.
So
It's the
Thomas
worst
managed
looking
that.
car.
I think they're looking phenomenal. I think they're just looking phenomenal. I love them. I love the way they look. So,
Cool, cool. So just a couple of things to finish up.
yeah,
Firstly, any plans on any races that you want to go this year, or what's on your bucket list in terms of races that you really want to go to?
there's no question.
Huh?
There's only the number one on the bucket list is definitely Monaco.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, okay.
I don't see that happening anywhere in the near future. I like Singapore. I'm very comfortable in
Hmm.
Singapore. I hope to do a lot more of Singapore. Uh, but yeah, other than that, Europe, of course, Austria for sure. I mean, how can I not go to
Oh
Austria?
yeah, yeah,
So,
Austria is a good track also.
yeah,
Singapore, I think Ruta, you should become that person who sat at every corner in
every single,
Singapore
yeah,
by the
yeah.
end of
So
it all.
I've already done two.
Yeah,
My seats got messed up last time, so
yeah,
I've
yeah.
chosen a really good one of the new additions to the track. So I'd taken a really
Hmm.
beautiful seat and I didn't get it. So
Hmm.
that's another story. My tickets got messed up. So I landed
Hmm.
up watching the race from where all the DTS guys were because it was in the middle of all the entertainment. I watched the race right in the middle of the entertainment. So
I think this is something I think F1 should really. I think they sell their tickets and then the resellers. It's quite
yeah,
tricky to get proper tickets and all. It's something that I think F1 have to look into. I think it's a bit messy for fans like us to get something legit, proper,
yeah.
and it has to have some. I mean, it's almost
Yeah, and
like
I
you're
took a
not
lot of
sure.
time choosing my seats, and
Exactly,
and
exactly.
I was quite upset by what I got.
No,
I,
I would also be
yeah,
extremely upset. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
you really plan out because you want to
yeah.
see it at a certain vantage point, and all of
Exactly,
that goes.
exactly, exactly. And it was a
It's
beautiful corner that I had chosen, and
mm,
I think it would have been a different experience. But this was a very different type of experience because, like I
mm,
said, I was right inside the F1 village, so
yeah. I mean,
it was a very different experience from the first one, where it was more pure race. Here it was there was a lot of the surround was insane. So
mm, mm,
it was different. I mean, I wasn't happy, but it was different. So yeah,
nice, nice. Just one final question. So 2024 we kind of locked in. I think in terms of I think it's going to go Red Bull's way, and we can. There's not much happening with drivers. All the tensions are off track. 2025, we got some semblance of might happen. Looking at 2026 now, that's in your, I wouldn't call it crystal ball, actually your wish list. What are like the couple of things that you'd want to happen in 2026? From a sport perspective, and specifically, for you, what would, make it tick for you more, the sport? What do you see? Less the two wish lists for the sport, I should say. 2026 with the new regs and all of that? What would you want to happen?
So I really am not seeing something terribly different. I mean,
Mm,
I don't think this one is uh, one is going to see some, you know, a significant difference in the way the races are happening, and I think it'll come in slow and steady. Um,
mm,
I think I think I think what's beautiful is the way the races have been covered, the amount of information that's so easily available on anything that you want to find out about. I think all of that. So I think the viewing experience is going to just keep improving. I think from
mm,
last year to this year, I feel there's a massive difference in everything that's there to intake as far as sitting at home and viewing a race is concerned.
mm, mm,
Uh, I'm hoping there's a little bit more parity in the teams at the top, at least, because I think that's a lot more fun. Uh, it was, of course, fun last year as a Red Bull fan, but I think then it's just a lot more exciting when there's some level of, and obviously Ferrari might be the one to do that, or
mm,
I do think McLaren um, is headed in the right direction. So I think they've got a good team of drivers as well. I think both Lando and Oscar are. I think there's a good amount of stability there with them and the team, and especially given all the other top teams have so much of, there's so much of up and down with the drivers.
mm.
I think that will stand McLaren in good stead. So with both these boys being there. So I think McLaren might be a good one to watch out for in 2026. And of course, they've
Awesome.
got the history. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Fewer races or these many races
No,
are
no,
okay.
it's
I'm
insane.
completely for fewer races.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's too many.
It's
There are
just
too
too much.
many.
I mean,
It
I don't know how
just
they're doing it weekend after
they're
weekend, flying
crazy.
across the world.
Yeah,
Literally, it's
yeah,
quite
yeah. I
crazy.
think it has to be stopped at 20. I think they're
Yeah.
getting a little greedy,
I think 20 is a
especially
very
this
good
guy.
number. I mean,
20 is
it's
a
a
good
lot,
number.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a lot, but I think 20 is a
Yeah.
good number. I completely
20 is a
agree.
good number, I agree. And I think the
Eh,
planning needs to be a little better. I think this year's not as bad. I thought last year was pretty messed up in the way they were going all over.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Chaos.
yeah.
Chaos.
So,
Too much.
yeah.
So just one more thing, like you mentioned McLaren, you said Ferrari, you said obviously Red Bull, all these guys are going to be good. Which I'm assuming you mean that Merck's going to really fall off a cliff, which means Toto's going to come here and do some yoga retreats in India, I think, which is calm himself down that it's all gone to shit.
Okay.
But maybe
The
we'll be
way
Len.
I don't want to look at Mercedes at this point. Unless Carlos or Checo join Mercedes, I'm not looking at Mercedes. So yeah, I actually think Carlos will join Red Bull and Checo will join Mercedes, but that's obviously my own crystal ball gazing. But and then that's going to be a
Interesting.
disaster for me. But I will support him nonetheless.
Cool. On that disaster, I think we will end the podcast,
It was a lot of
end
fun.
this
Thank you, Kunal.
session. That's great. I'm really glad that you're able to join. Perhaps we can get you on, one of the other podcasts we do with, a few other friends, and it's a
Sure.
good medium for us to, just have a conversation. Because
Yes.
I've learned a few things, about, your journey and just generally, I can safely assume that you dislike Mercedes more than Ferrari. So that's my current takeout, at least from this podcast.
Not what
But
after not after what we did this year. No.